Hi everyone, I'm getting ready to quilt my new pattern called Choose Joy. I've got a wreath here and I've got a 40 weight thread in my machine, and I'm going to bring up the bobbin thread, and then I'm going to take a few stitches. I'm switching to a manual mode, and I need my scissors, which I forgot, and so I'm going to clip my threads. I'm going to put on my gloves. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I do. I like the grippies on them that help a lot with control. And I'm going to begin by quilting the chickadee that's in the center of my wreath, which is something different that I just did today. And then I'm just following the edges of the floral pieces, or these are happen to be pine cones. I might go and outline the little pine branches a little bit just to kind of accent them a little bit. And then I'll continue to go around most of the edges, some of the branches again. And now I'll speed this up a little bit. So I'm using a 40 weight thread, and with a 40 weight thread, I'm always going to use a 90-14 needle. Here I'm just accenting again some of the bird things around the branches. And the other thing that makes it super easy to quilt is making sure thoroughly steaming the steam-a-seam product, the wreath, all the stuff that you've used to make this collage. And so I've got the bird pretty much done right now. And so now I'm just going to lift up my presser foot, and I'm going to move very gently over into the collage. That's what you call a jump stitch. I don't think you can see it really well, but it's one long stitch because it's on the other side. I'll try and get a close-up of that later. So anyway, I'm just going to go around the wreath. This is what I call just a loose stipple. Some of the outlines I might go ahead and do just because they're fun. Because I enjoy doing that, creating a little bit of extra dimension. And now, just for the sake of the video, I'm going to get just a little bit closer here, hopefully, so you can see what I'm doing on the letters themselves. It's not working out the way I want it to. So here I'm just going to come around, and a lot of times I'll edge stitch the letters. But this time I'm going to skip the stitching, and I'm just going to go right on in, and I'm going to do a little bit of a fill, a nice loose swirl. It doesn't matter what size they are as long as you're filling up the letter. And I do this because, number one, I think it looks really awesome. This 40 weight thread is a Magnifico polyester from Superior Threads. And also I like it that it leaves the letters a little flatter. Sometimes I do like the dimension when they're a little bit poofy from not being quilted. And then I'm just going to come back in and I'm going to do some more. And then I've left some room here. I'm going to echo my motif. I like going a little faster with these circles because one of the reasons is you get a smoother circle with a shorter stitch than you do if you didn't do that shorter stitch. And by going a little faster and moving my fabric a little faster, I'm going to get a nice, smooth, tight stitch, which is just fine for me. It's mostly a matter of personal preference. Now, all this space that I've got left over here, I'm just going to echo it because I think that's a little more attractive. I'm going to come around the edges, and I'm going to echo this circle a couple of times, come along the edge, come around this one, and now I've got both of the Y sections here, the upper part of the letter filled in, letter, and I'm going to continue. Doesn't matter which direction you go. But again, this is something that, as you practice free motion, you'll learn to go a little faster. It gives you a little more control. When you go slow, it tends to jerk the stitches. And that's the problem with going really careful and making sure you don't make any mistakes. It can't be about just not making mistakes. It has to be about feeling the flow of the machine and the stitching motif that you've chosen and getting used to it. As always, you guys have heard this forever if you've been into free motion or quilting or anything, but you've got to do it, practice it a lot. And now I'm back at my wreath. And so I'm going to turn my quilt and I'm going to continue to go around the wreath. A lot of times I like to echo the letters. And again, I'm just going with a loose stipple. Every once in a while, if there's berries or something like this little, whatever it is, a nutmeg or an acorn, I guess is what it is, or the leaves, or the flower, I like to go around the flower just because it enhances the flower. I'm not doing it just willy-nilly, I'm being kind of more deliberate about it. Then I'm just going back in and I'm just doing a little stipple. This is a tinier stipple or kind of like a medium edge one. And you notice that because I've steamed my collage very thoroughly, I did this at least 3 times. Actually, I think I did it more closer to 5 by the time I was finished with all the motifs that I wanted to do. I added the chickadees as a last minute decision, I should say just one chickadee. And I'm going to just continue to go around this wreath with that stipple that I talk about, and I always talk about in my patterns. By the way, the swirling motif is in the pattern for the Joy quilt. And here you can see I just kind of skipped around and I went around the inside edge. Just trying to speed this up a little bit for y'all. And it's not necessary to catch every single edge. This is a collage that is a wall hanging. It should never be washed, in my opinion. But if it was, you would have to quilt this a lot heavier, which kind of makes it, well, I don't know if it makes it worse or better, but it's a lot more effort for really not a very worthy result, and end result in my opinion. And so that's where I'm going to end it for now. And I'm going to continue to quilt this piece. Thanks for watching.